Let's talk about the time where Iron Man had to fight addiction. And this story is very interesting to me because it shows that he is only human even though he has the riches and all the fame. This comic starts off with Iron Man doing the basic things, going against his foe Namor, and eventually teaming up to save this island from getting toxic waste all around them. After accomplishing this, Iron Man goes back and you see he's poured him up a drink and he's casually drinking all throughout this series. And honestly, I try to sneak it in to small points to really emphasize that he's slowly getting more addicted. Iron Man then goes to turn himself into the cops, and the cops, knowing that they can't really beat him, even though they're flashing their revolvers or whatever, they know that they can't defeat him. So they make a deal with Iron Man, basically saying, give them his armor and they'll check it out. Make sure there's no malfunction, make sure it was not on him. And after this sequence of events, you really see Tony Stark not stressing at all. He still wants to be a hero. He doesn't even think about the body he just caught. He just starts a little bit weird. And then he goes to Captain America for knowledge on hand-to-hand combat because he still wants to do more with his homie. So then he basically goes on his James Bond and goes with Rhodes, who later becomes War Machine in the later comics. He goes with him on a mission to basically stop the toxic waste from being dumped in the island that they saved originally. And they're actually successful. Iron Man shows some hands as well. So then Tony Stark comes back, he's lit. He comes back to Jarvis, and Jarvis is telling him to chill out. And basically they get in a huge discussion, and Tony Stark goes off on Jarvis heavy. Then the next day, Jarvis actually resigns, and Tony Stark is distraught by this, saying that, he was sorry, he didn't mean it. But Jarvis was not having it. He did not want to see him go down this path that he was going on. And this just leads Iron Man to more drinking. Now we cut to this panel of Iron Man looking extremely sad in his Iron Man suit, drinking alcohol, completely smacking it down. And it really just shows the state he's in right now. Now here is honestly my favorite part. He basically flies out the window and forgets he has a suit on or forgets he didn't put his window up. And it's just one of the things that's interesting because when you actually look at people who battle alcohol abuse, they often do things like this. They'll forget something's in the way and they'll run into things. Just things like that, being absent-minded. Now his drinking problem continues, and Beth was always trying to get him to get off the alcohol. And basically he finally gives in and he asks for help. And they hug, and basically it's a symbolic sort of reference because you see the glass drops, basically him trying to break his alcohol addiction. Now you would think that this was the last of his struggles, but honestly it cuts to him the next comic being out in the cold, drinking, basically, forgetting where he put his car and all that because he's so drunk that he can't make it back. And he ends up saving the life of a boy whose mother actually died, also out in the cold, being frozen to death. And this is his wake-up call to finally go to rehab and really confront his demons. Then he comes to an AA meeting, and they show this hard visual for no reason. This is no reason to go this hard. Bro is looking dark and stoic, basically saying, I'm an alcoholic. Then we go to the origin of his drinking. Basically, it's his dad making him drink to feel more like a man, saying to put some hair on his chest, and his dad just forcing him to drink, which is pretty dark, honestly. And basically, he's just saying, that's my boy. He's getting proud of him. Basically, he's saying that he's taking approval in him because he's just drinking and has the same alcohol addiction as him. And this really sort of taught him at a young age that alcohol is what he goes to in his time of, need. And when he's just feeling fear, he goes straight to the alcohol. Now, in the later comics, he was sober for a little bit. But in modern day comics, he just goes as a casual drinker. But he still does have this demon. And honestly, there are a few stories talking about this one. But I feel like this kind of story right here, this one where they go about his trauma, is the most interesting way to look at him psychologically as a man, and probably how a lot of people start their addictions, at a young age, being forced into it.